If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Fires it upfield, caught over the middle. Michael Pittman Jr., there he goes! He's at the 40, he's at the 30, slips out of a tackle, 20, 10, 5, touchdown! Michael Pittman Jr. takes it 75 yards to the house. Big run, angling left, 40, he's at the 30, down the near sideline, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor, a 49-yard gallop to pay dirt.
In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
Welcome into the official Colts podcast. We are here ready to get you ready. Is that a right phrase? Ready to get you ready?
Ready for ready.
Okay, good. Well, we're ready to get you ready for what's going to be happening in the Colts minicamp. And the reason I'm saying that is there's a long break. It feels like an eternity after this minicamp ends, and then we wait till the end of July to get up to Westfield. Guys, that's summertime, okay? That's summertime.
That's about it's the time you get to spend with your family.
Absolutely.
And recharge mentally a little bit.
Football player or, somebody who works in the NFL. That's where I'm starting with this thing. It's a little bit off of the football field. And readers and listeners and viewers want to know, I found some fun facts about you guys in the summer that I want to talk about first. All right. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts. J.J. Stankovitz covers the Colts top to bottom. The best two guys in the building, if you want Colts updates, are right here. We're going to bring you through the podcast. But I'm going off of the football field for a minute. I'm going to start with you.
Oh.
I have learned, and this is, you can find them on Twitter if you don't believe me.
Hammer me.
At Maytay Colts, at J.J. Stankovitz. I'm not hammering you. A master of landscaping, his lawn, and more importantly, your garage. You could hold a party in your garage or a dinner, if you will, because everything has a place. It is swept out once a week. How long does it take you to actually do your landscaping around your house?
Well, the landscaping is in phases. Landscaping it's a big yard with a lot of landscaping, so typically it's Wednesday night one side with the landscaping and the trimming and all that stuff, the edging, and then the other side is Thursday. The Thursday side is much bigger. And then Friday night or Saturday morning, we'll sweep out the garage, and the neighbors flock over, and they'll grab a beverage. They'll pull up a chair.
All the time.
We'll talk about the daily happenings. That's pretty great.
Do they grill you about the Colts? Hey, what's going to happen this year? Who's starting there? What's the record?
They lay off. They know that we're talking Colts incessantly 9 to 5 within this building. So the big stuff we get to, but the minutia they kind of leave alone.
I do have to say I have the same experience with our friends.
Yeah.
Where they know, hey, your whole job is to talk Colts. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about something else. Sometimes I'm happy to talk about the rest of the league. I got a friend who every time I see him, he's like, I'm trying to figure out if I should trade Mike Evans in my keeper league and going back and forth on that. That stuff is fun because I don't always get to talk about the rest of the league. But when it turns into you get folks coming up to you at a kid's birthday party and like, oh, what do you think Jonathan Taylor is going to do this year? I just want to be like, just listen to the official Colts podcast.
Absolutely.
We'll get into
I always
it.
say when we go to like Thanksgiving or Christmas and something big happens, like if the timing is right, I want to tell my wife, like I want to walk in and then we'll just hold a press conference.
Yeah, because
anything you want to know, anything, we'll go to the kitchen or maybe like the kids' table, like get away. Mm-hmm. We're gonna hold a press conference. Anything you want to know for the first 15 minutes, because I don't want to have the same conversation 25
I love that.
times.
Well, like
so we'll hold a press conference.
Uncle Larry, he corners you in the kitchen and says,
there's always a couple uncles or cousins that think they know more than you.
I love it.
And that's the best.
I love it. So that's what I'm saying.
They tell me what's going on.
Fun facts are he loves a good cookout and loves a good garage clean out. Odds are, and I'm throwing to you now, JJ, odds are you pay someone or a unit to do your lawn. True or false?
Absolutely not.
Really?
I should, because it's garbage.
Really? So you're out there push mowing, you're out there hedging.
My lawn.
You're doing edges, you're doing everything.
Yeah. Also, I don't have that big of a lawn.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of the few people who moved from the city of Chicago to Carmel, Indiana, and got a smaller lawn.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Takes me about
But you do it, though.
minutes. I do it. I don't do it frequently enough. Sorry, Betsy. But I should do it. I should do it more often.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I do it all. We do pay someone to come, do the fertilizer and all that.
Right here. I'm right there with you. I got a guy. So I'm just telling you, mate, I got a guy. If I'm cutting lawn, it ain't done by me. But I'm doing the bushes and everything. That's myself. That's but I got a guy come out there. I didn't know if you guys would know that or not.
I pay for the lawn applications.
Yeah?
Yeah, right.
And, you know, you have seen and talked about my yard, like, during the fall. Even if I didn't have this job, I would not be raking leaves.
Hey, I love it.
With
You
the
guys,
amount of trees I have.
I'm just saying, we're finding out facts about these two a little bit where we are getting to football. True or false, you're a Renaissance Fair guy?
False.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You don't love the big old drumstick of turkey drums?
But, okay, when I do want to actually get the big turkey leg at the state fair. I've been eyeing that thing for 2 years now. Haven't got it yet.
Passage. You're not a Hoosier until you're walking around the Midway with a turkey leg.
I think that's coming this year then.
Matt, I disagree. You can be a Hoosier if you're walking down with a tenderloin. You don't. If you decide for
there's
the
degrees of Hoosier.
Okay.
Civic pride?
Yeah, a lot of civic pride over there.
A lot of civic pride?
A lot of civic pride in that chair.
JJ, I thought you'd give me more on the Renaissance Fair being a looper or nothing like
this is also,
you know
by
what
the
I'm
way,
talking about, though,
But
right?
I do. For our listeners and viewers who don't know this bit, Jeffrey on the pregame show every week would tee me up and be like, and JJ, by the way, I hear that you're Santa Claus down at the Castleton Mall. Just like out of nowhere.
I made you a jazz virtuoso.
We got the biggest game of the year coming up in 2 hours. And you're just like, oh yeah, you're Santa Claus, right? And here we got people being like, the BS starts in the BS ends and the show starts at 5 minutes in. We have like months until we play. So this is a good bit for right now.
I mean, it's not a bit, but I could see you as a looper out there. That's what they call him out there.
That's what they call him?
Why don't you talk into the microphone on a podcast? I mean, what is this, day one?
I know, because I'm just picturing JJ as a looper with the thing with a drumstick, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what about jousting?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it'd be a jouster. Matt, I don't think you'd have time for that, but
no.
Why would I have time for that?
I don't, that's not in the budget, I don't think. Yeah. Time is money, and that's not part of it.
Hey, like I said, guys, I'm just the messenger sometimes. But let's get to it, okay? Well,
you cleaned out your garage the other day. I mean, there's a sense of pride.
I'm telling you, I know we're talking football, but I cleaned up my garage on Saturday, and I felt like I just finished an Ironman. And
yes.
I was like, wanting to call people.
Declutter.
Okay, this is the last non-football thing.
Yes,
I promise it's coming. But does your garage have the cracks in between the big the slabs?
Yeah.
The most satisfying thing is to take a shop vac and clean those things out. Just you got needles, I got goldfish down there for my kids. It is you just
Double J.
That is like the most satisfying thing
Double
to do.
J, I'm with you. You suck it up, I blow it out. I got a blower, so I do this thing right down there. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm being serious. I just blow it out. I follow those things online. It is so satisfying. And I'm just like, are any neighbors looking at this? Do you want to come in and look at the lawn? I mean, the garage, rather.
Leave it in the comments section. When was the last time you cleaned your baseboards? I mean, if we're gonna
in the garage?
Yeah, everything. Inside,
I'm sure YouTube user at Carite is going to love this conversation.
Okay, good. Well, let's go. All right. We're moving on to football. I'm going to
shout out to Carite, by the way. Thanks.
By the way, shout out to you. Yeah, I'm going to bring fun facts throughout the rest of the year about you guys. Some things that are true and not true, but I'm just a messenger again. I'm hearing some
shockingly
things.
True.
Let's go with this. 3 big things that we've learned from this offseason program that is winding up. 3 more practices, if you will. Mini camp here is Tuesday, Wednesday, finishes up on Thursday. But this past month, in additional change on top of that, Mayte, I'll start with you. What have we found out about this team? And I know a lot of the talk absolutely starts at the quarterback position and what Anthony brings.
Well, that's certainly the headliner. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse across all the different platforms, but that's been the biggest takeaway, the most I wouldn't call it a pleasant surprise, but something that kind of falls in line with what we've heard and it's been discussed all off season is just the trajectory that Anthony Richardson is on post-surgery, and he doesn't look like a guy that is coming off season-ending shoulder surgery based on the velocity, the arm strength, his ability to make all the throws. The buzzword that you're hearing all off season in regards to Anthony Richardson, or the buzz phrase, is accelerated vision. So physically he looks like the same guy, I think even more impressive in some regards in terms of the zip that he has on the ball, believe it or not. But it's just knowing where to go with the football. It's being able to diagnose a defense and read coverages and go with the right place with the ball and get it there faster. And I think that's what you're seeing here in the spring with Anthony Richardson coming off and complimenting his rookie season. So that part is the most encouraging. And again, as franchise quarterbacks go, even with a guy that's 22 years old as of 10 days ago, this team in large part is going to go as far as the quarterback play will take them. And that's an encouraging thing because of all the continuity the Colts have and the arrow trending majorly up now with Anthony Richardson.
JJ, I got a question for you. Now, this cat played 4 games. We got the sample size resume. When he's on the field, he is. I mean, he's a difference maker. But then he had all that rest of the year to kind of rehab and everything. How important is it, just for the playbook alone, that wide period of time where he wasn't throwing the football, he was rehabbing, but he dove into Shane Steichen's offense. Now he's bringing it out this spring.
Yeah, I think that's been a really encouraging thing to hear from Anthony, from Shane, from his teammates, is how engaged he was. Because, I mean, think about this. Like, Anthony Richardson was a 21-year-old QB1 from day 1 of last season, and then he gets hurt in week 5. And, I mean, mentally, that was challenging on him. Just, you know, you're now kind of isolated, right? Like, you're away from the team. You're not practicing when they're going out there. And now he's, you know, last year he had to navigate, hey, this is Gardner's team, but I'm still the quarterback of the future. But I'm also 21. I'm still a rookie. Like, that is a hard thing for someone to go through. But I think from everything that we've heard, he found a really good balance of being in that quarterback room, asking questions when it was appropriate. And then he had weekly meetings with Shane Steichen that, you know, you can kind of talk through some stuff. You're still staying engaged. And to hear what his teammates are saying now about how he's operating, like you said, Matt, with that accelerated vision. He's operating quickly. He's identifying where to go with the football, whether it's a broken coverage or, you know, something along those lines. Like, he knows where to go with it a little bit quicker, and that stuff really helps. So those are all really encouraging things. But, like, my number one takeaway from the offseason goes back to what you were saying, Matt. If you just dropped me in here and said, which one of these players on the field had shoulder surgery, I wouldn't be able to tell. Like, I wouldn't look at him and the way that he's playing and be like, yeah, he's limited, he's wincing, he's missing throws. His arm doesn't look very good. He all looks like Anthony Richardson. And to me, that's the number one thing that you wanted to come out of OTAs and the offseason program thinking is he looks like Anthony Richardson again, and that's what we've seen.
And to piggyback off that, I mean, the point you were trying to make, or did make, I should say, is that if you're Alec Pierce, if you're Josh Downs, if you're Michael Pittman Jr., let's go. Like, you know who this is going to be now in the spring. Because to your point, last year it was, he's a rookie. He's got to come in and prove it. He's the face of the franchise going forward. He's the long-term answer. But, you know, as of right now, he's still a guy that only played in 13 games, you know, at Florida, and Gardner Minshew's a veteran. So there's going to be this healthy competition. No, Anthony Richardson is the quarterback now. All of these guys know it, and they can spend 110% of their focus in terms of what Anthony does to complement their skill set and how they can collectively get the most out of each other within this offense.
Hey, without playing the game, just watching a preparation aspect of getting ready to play on a Sunday, Joe Flacco is going to be pretty big for this young man. I mean, Gardner Minshew had a similar thing with him being a veteran last year, but I think Joe and his record, obviously a Super Bowl winner, that's going to play a huge part in maybe not what he does on the field, but his preparation and things.
I heard this interview that Brandon Beane did, the GM of the Bills, with Robert Mays from the Athletic Football Show. And Mays asked him, like, hey, what's a regret you had? And he said it wasn't having a veteran around Josh Allen early in his career. And I think that stuff really does matter for young quarterbacks. You can, you know, sometimes you can set them free a little bit after the first couple of years. Like, you look at what the Chargers did with Justin Herbert, where they had Tyrod Taylor there, then they had 2 years of Chase Daniel, where, you know, you got guys who've been around the league, guys who know the league, who know offense, who can show him how to operate as an NFL quarterback. And now, you know, he's in year 4. I don't know who their backup is. It might be Easton Stick, you know, a young guy. You can then start to go that route. But I think for Anthony and for pretty much all young quarterbacks, having that veteran to show them how to be a pro, to show them how to handle the routine, how to set what you're going to do every day and the expectations for what you're going to do every day, I think is incredibly important. And having Gardner last year, who maybe wasn't a grizzled veteran like Joe Flacco is, but who knew how to be a quarterback in the NFL, who could do that, to now Joe Flacco, these are lessons that are going to stick with Anthony his entire career, that he learned from Gardner last year, that he learned from Flacco this year.
And just picking up what I've heard from Joe Flacco since he's been a Colt, this is going to sound oxymoron, but he's a master of not overcomplicating the game. And I think that's what Anthony Richardson can benefit from is this game. You have so much put upon your shoulders, both off the field and on the field. You're the face of the team. The team is marketing you big time, and all the natural things. But you're the leader in the locker room. You're the quarterback. That comes with so much pressure. Joe Flacco's a guy like, dude, if that guy's open early on your progression, don't overthink it. Yeah. Get him the ball. Get him a first down. Let's move the sticks and stay on schedule. And I think Joe Flacco sort of made a career at that. I mean, you saw it towards the end of last year coming in right away and being able to all of a sudden just come in and produce all of those straight 300-yard games for the Browns on their path to making the playoffs. So I think that veteran presence of Joe Flacco being able to oversimplify things for a 21-year-old quarterback that is still learning, still growing mentally and physically is going to really benefit Anthony Richardson in the long run by learning from Joe Flacco and say, hey, you got all this noise right now. Yeah. It's like my 5-year-old daughter right now. She's, learning to hit and learning to bat, and she's, playing T-ball and all that stuff. She's got a million different coaches. She has her coaches, me, my wife, the grandpas.
She's hearing from a lot of people.
Screwing her, like paralysis by analysis. Joe Flacco's like, hey, that guy's open right now.
Right.
Just get him the ball. I think that could be beneficial.
Hey, guys, wide receiver position in this thing. We're going to talk to Alec Pierce later on in the day today. Just let's look at the wide receiver room really quick. I'm going to start with the obviously low-hanging fruit. What does A.D. Mitchell bring? And as far as plays per offense, throughout the game and stuff, how much is he a part of this offense?
Yeah, that was another one of my takeaways from the offseason program is that A.D. Mitchell's work ethic, it really stands out. Like, it really stands out. And I know I've talked about it on this podcast before, so I don't need to totally go down that road again, but I think he's shown he has the ingredients to be an immediate contributor. Now, he still has to go put the pads on. He still has to show he can do it against NFL competition, in a game setting. But the early returns are exactly what you want to see during OTAs. The guy's staying after practice. He's catching balls. He's, working on releases with Juju Brents. And then when he is on the field, like he made one catch last week in OTAs. Holy crap. Like just over his head, like Jim Edmonds catching that fly ball in Kansas City, just like an insane grab. Thank you for getting that reference. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people definitely do. Just like the plays he can make down the field and his hands are exactly that sort of baseline. Okay, it's what we saw on tape at Texas, and you combine that with the work ethic you've seen, and he's going to have a chance to make an immediate impact. Absolutely. Yeah.
And just aesthetically, in the spring, and I think obviously it's going to continue to carry on, but this offense is going to push the ball. They do with Mitchell and Pierce. I mean, really everybody's going down the field. The tight ends are stretching the field, and that's so important. Again, last year with Gardner Minshew towards the end of the season, it was like playing on a short field, a lot of short, intermediate crossing routes. That was Minshew's skill set. But with Anthony Richardson, it is so important to be able to push the ball down the field. That was obviously a high priority in the draft, bringing in Adonai Mitchell. But if the Colts can do that successfully this year, which they've shown the ability to do that, complete some chunk plays here in the spring based on what we've seen here during OTAs, that's going to help Richardson and Taylor so much in the running.
One thing I do so well is ask stupid questions. So how many?
Yeah, like are you in the Renaissance Fair?
I like that one. That's visually.
Where's your turkey leg, Jeff?
No, where is receptions and Jonathan Taylor at?
And that's a good one. And that is not a stupid question.
He's so exciting. Number one, he's so exciting. We know what he does between the tackles and everything. But on the few times that we've seen it, and he gets a little outlet pass or a little dump pass out of the backfield, and he's got 40 yards of pay dirt in front of him. How many?
Buffalo in 2021.
Yeah, Baltimore in 2021.
What's a perfect scenario with Anthony Richardson, and that little safety net called Jonathan Taylor behind him? Like, is that 30 catches? Is that 50 catches? Is that what are we looking at?
So he had 36 for 299 in 2020, his rookie year. Then he had 40 for 360 in 2021. Last year he had 19 for 153. The year before that it was 28 for 143. By the way, like any stats that anyone had in 2022, I'm just like willing to throw out because that offense was so broken. I think you're probably somewhere in between what he had last year and what he had in
28 and 44, somewhere in the between.
Yeah,
there.
If he's averaging 8 to 9 yards per reception and gets maybe a touchdown or two out of it, That's pretty good. I think, the way that you can use him just to get the ball in his hands, you want to find a way to do that. But he's also, Jonathan Taylor's also not going to, you're not looking at him to be Christian McCaffrey, right? Like he is a running back first.
I'm not disagreeing, but why not?
Tajay Spears.
Why not? Let me ask, why not?
Because that's not his skill set. That's not who he is. And that's okay. Most running backs are not that. Most running backs are not Christian McCaffrey. You can line him up as a slot receiver and be like, we're going to be just as good as if he's in the backfield. Most running backs are where Jonathan Taylor is, which is he's a threat with the ball in his hands, but you got to be a little more. It's not as simple as, all right, just get him the ball in space and make him, let him go to work. You got to have a play drawn up, maybe the screen game a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that is an important outlet though, to make sure that, hey, if you need to get the ball in his hands as a receiver, Anthony Richardson knows he can do it.
Yeah. All right. And it's to steal a line from Rick Venturi, it's especially in crunch time, it's think players, not plays, and get the ball somehow, some fashion into your best playmaker's hands, and that's where Jonathan Taylor comes into play. And this is, again, going back to a hot button issue we had certainly towards the end of last year or at the end of the season in January, fourth and 1, and you got Tyler Goodson on the field instead of Jonathan Taylor. I think the circumstances dictated that Taylor wasn't healthy in that situation. You'd practice all week with Tyler Goodson running that play. But I think big picture, there's going to be no excuse to take Jonathan Taylor off the field because of what he can and can't do, because I do think he can catch the ball.
Hey, some people are saying no excuses. Colts Nation for that matter, are saying, hey, last couple of years, this defense, 28 in points allowed 2 years in a row. That has to change. Gus Bradley talked earlier in the year about making some switches and stuff. But that defense is pretty much coming back man for man, with the exception of a few guys like Big Roquan in the middle and obviously Latu.
Raekwon.
It's a big year for Gus Bradley's defense, but I want to start at the cornerback position because those guys are young. Those guys are young. And there are some veterans that are still out on the market that people have been saying, hey, maybe a veteran like a guy who used to play here, Stephon Gilmore type of thing. Where are we at with these cornerbacks going into camp?
I think that this is going to be another thing that Robert Mays said on the Athletic Football Show, which I completely agree with. I think he put it the best of anyone talking about the Colts cornerbacks nationally. Is, okay, you look at them and you say, yeah, they need another corner. Like, look at what they were last year. But if you talk to people here and you think about where those guys are, where Jalen Jones, Dallas Flowers, and Juju Brents are, do you really want to sign a corner who is not a guaranteed tier upgrade over those guys, who's probably on his third contract, who probably has a recent injury history? It's usually why those guys are available.
You're paying him more to be banged up. Right.
Do you really want that guy to block a path of development for any of those three guys? Or would you rather say, you know what, we saw some flashes from Jalen Jones. We definitely saw flashes from Juju Brents, and when Dallas Flowers was healthy, he was playing good football. Why don't we see what they can be?
Yeah.
And, why didn't you trade for L'Jarius Sneed? Okay, well, you're giving up a draft pick. Maybe it's a 2025 third like the Titans gave up, which isn't a huge price, but then you're guaranteeing him a lot of money. And if you're doing that for a corner, you better be sure that guy's going to be good. Right. You better be sure that guy is going to be good every single year. And, the Titans got there, and maybe he is. Maybe L'Jarius Sneed will be that guy. But corners are kind of this notoriously volatile position sometimes where if you're paying a guy a bunch of money, it doesn't always translate into that guy being productive for whatever factors. The guy could have a good season, but maybe the teams aren't, he's just not getting thrown at a lot, or maybe he has a couple coverage busts. It's a tricky position, which is why the Colts have traditionally gone defensive line, because that is a more year-to-year, you can be counted on to be consistent position than it is at corner. So I think about just have it been better for the Colts to get a veteran who might cut off the development path of a Jalen Jones or a Dallas Flowers or a Juju Brents, or, hey, let's just roll with these guys, see what we have, and then in 2025, we can reassess. And you know what? If two of those guys hit and we go into next year being like, we have our starting corners, again, maybe it's a little volatile, maybe it's a little up and down, but we feel confident in those guys. That is a much better outcome long-term for this franchise than it is we signed a guy in his third contract, he plays 8 games, and he's hurt the other 9, and now you don't have the same production out of those young guys.
Yeah. Not only that, you also have another year of development mentally within this system. Gus Bradley's coming back for year number 3. There's obviously a lot of trust and faith in that young core to emerge. 2 out of those 3 guys, like you said, either Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones. You still have, some other guys that played some heavy minutes last year too. But you're also hopefully going to be able to be in a position to trust those guys more to do more within your defense, like trust them more and press man to man, right? Only Gus Bradley is going to be able to answer that question of how much trust there was in that young core of corners last year. Because again, you played a lot of zone and you didn't blitz very much. Well, now you've got the pass rush completely reinforced now with Latu. Maybe now you can blitz a little bit more and trust those guys on the back end because they've been here now for another offseason.
Let's stay there for pressures from Latu. I know I'm picking on the number one. I'm saying there's a lot of great talent in that room. We're going to get to that in a minute as well, as far as that defensive lineman room. But JJ, if last season the Colts had, I'll grab a number out of the air, it's just for whatever, they had 40 quarterback pressures, okay? And Latu comes in and adds 16 or 22 quarterback pressures this year that they didn't have last year. One man. I know they're talented, but I'm just saying the way he plays with reckless abandon. If they add 20 more pressures this defense, are they a completely different defense that's ranked 12th in the league now because of added 20 pressures that they didn't have the year before?
You're shooting low on the 20 pressures, by the way. Like we're talking about more. I think
you're
thinking 40.
Okay.
So last year among rookies, Will Anderson had 59 pressures.
59 pressures.
That was the most among all rookies last year. There were only 3 players who had more than 30, actually.
3 players that had more than 30 across the league?
That was it.
Okay.
But to answer your question, if you're increasing your pressure total by a third, inevitably those are going to come in some high leverage, big time situations.
That's
where the biggest missing piece of this pressure, or this pass rush. The 51 sacks were great, and I don't mean to steal your thunder right now.
Yeah.
The 51 sacks last year, great number. Obviously a franchise record. But it's when did they come, and did the pressures and the hurries and the overall disruptions, did that complement the sack number? And the answer was probably not enough last year.
Right.
Again, you go back to Week 18, just not enough pressure on C.J. Stroud throughout the course of that game.
So in 2022, by the way, the rookie pressure leaders were Aiden Hutchinson, George Karlaftis, and Kayvon Thibodeau. All had 40 or more.
40 or more.
So that's pretty good. That's like, again, you're kind of looking
JJ,
at...
are you expecting that out of Latu?
Yeah, you're kind of looking at it as a baseline. Hold on, I'm going to pull an Adam Schefter here.
Love this.
Oh, baby.
Hey.
This is live, too.
Live.
Hey, Christian.
Screw it. We'll do it live.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
We're getting a guest right now for this show. I love it. You want to see how the chicken salad is made? You're finding out right now, okay?
But no, I think, again, you go back to just overall fourth quarter consistency. And, again, you're putting a lot of pressure on Latu to be that guy, to be that difference maker. And you're talking about,
really good.
Ed Dodds talked last week, I think it was. We finally feel like we have this true hockey change,
that's awesome.
line change that we can do in terms of staying fresh along the defensive line. We finally have 8-9 guys, no matter who's in the game. We all trust them to be impactful. It's not like if Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner aren't in the game, we still can't get home. No, you still got Dio, and you still have Tyquan Lewis, and on the outside, Ebicom and Kwity Paye and Liatu, depending on the time in the game of the situation. So that's where I think they finally feel like Liatu gives them that guy in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line, and it's just as simple as go win, beat your guy across from you, get to the quarterback. Liatu can be that guy.
Shefty,
by the way, okay,
Shefty, give us something. What do you got?
So that was we've been working with our tremendous PR staff here to try to get a guest on the podcast today, looks like we got Juju Brents coming on.
Hey, that's a nice
later
pull.
in the podcast
Hey, the
here.
hometown kid. That is a good job.
Yeah.
We'll throw to that in a minute. You'll hear from Juju Brents. We're going to wind this thing up right now. This defense, guys, continuity of this defense overall. Obviously, we talked about the young cornerbacks, the safety position. Who knows who's going to play outside of Julian Blackmon on the other side? There's going to be a nice couple of battles defensively. Can this take the next step? A lot of the same faces. Can this defense, obviously with the addition of Latu, rather, does it take the next step this year?
That's in addition to all the personnel coming back, I think that's what you're betting on in terms of, okay, we got third year of Gus Bradley. You've got the communicators within the defense. So, Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore, the second, DeForest Buckner, Julian Blackmon. All these guys kind of know the defense now. They're going into year 3 in it. You kind of know the ins and outs of it, and I think that does help. You want to see guys playing faster. You want to see a little bit more aggression when it comes to trying to get the ball away, trying to turn the ball over. That's where I think that year 3 can really make an impact, is in creating those takeaways. That, when you had the Matt Eberflus defense here and you're in year 3, year 4, you started to see those really tick up. And that's where I think you want to see the Gus Bradley defense now. Same thing, year 3, you want to see those turnover numbers start to go up, and you want to be probably top 12 in the league, I think is probably a fair thing to shoot for here.
3 big things for me within this defense in terms of my goals or my expectations. I want to see more overall pressures, like we talked about. I want to see more takeaways, and the big explosive plays given up, that number start to go down.
Right.
And again, it goes back to what we discussed with the young secondary taking on more and starting to emerge, and in the coaching staff feeling more comfortable with being able to be a little bit more exotic with those guys and play a little bit less zone coverage. And again, only one guy can answer that. That's Gus Bradley. Maybe Ron Miles to a lesser degree. But I think I've said it all off season with the amount of continuity you have coming back. I've never seen it. All 11 starters on defense coming back. All 11 starters on offense coming back. I think you got like 79% of your total roster from last year back again this year. But within that, you still have some competition battles, at the starting safety position, with Nick Cross, taking a lion's share of the starting reps at safety, and then Jalen Jones and Dallas Flowers, and where is Flowers health-wise.
Right.
But, again, within that, there's just too much personal individual talent within this defense to be giving up, 25, 26 points per game. And that, again, this defense should be a top 10 defense next year in terms of points allowed, and the takeaways, I think, will come because of all the continuity and the playmakers that unit has.
JJ, before we throw to you and Juju Brents, is this young man have the ability to be one of those guys this coming season, next year, third year afterwards, say, don't mess with Juju, not in his area? Is he a shutdown guy?
I think he can be. Again, you're looking at the athleticism.
Sure.
And then, what I learned about Juju last year was that mentality that he has. This guy competes. He is physical, and he's just got that cornerback mentality. He's got a cornerback brain, if that makes sense. I think he understands how to play the position. He talked about having this very detailed notebook that he took last year of just writing stuff down about the releases he faced and receivers who he's watching, and just all that stuff kind of plays into it. But then he's got that confidence, that bravado that you want out of a corner. You want that, I have no issue going against Devontae Adams one-on-one in the end zone. Guys, I got it.
Yeah.
I love that mentality out of him. And all that together, he's got what it takes if he can stay healthy to be that guy, in this defense.
Special player, man. Special length, everything about him. With the magic of editing, our own JJ Stankovitz obviously can be in 2 places at once. Here he is with Juju Brents.
All right, joining me here on the official Colts podcast out here on the practice field on 56th Street is cornerback Juju Brents. Juju, thanks for taking some time here on Vet Minicamp. Just give me an idea of where you feel like you've taken your game during the off-season program over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. The off-season has been pretty big for me. A lot of people know I didn't have this time last year. So the big steps for me have just been just getting these reps. Those reps are vital. I know last year was just all mental during this time, being in the classroom, the film room, just learning. But actually being out here and getting live reps, being able to apply what I've learned in the film room and put it on display out here on the field has been pretty pivotal for me.
You talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago about using these reps like game reps, treating them like you're in a game. Like how is that intensity? How have you kind of leaned into that intensity out here on the field?
No, for sure you just got to embrace it. Like I said, I just take it like it's a game. Every practice, because it is that important to me. It's that vital. And you don't know, when that time may be. We may not have those reps. We may not be able to have the opportunity to be out there. So just take every, rep like it's your last. Just don't take it for granted. And it's been big for me, just my thought process, my the discipline I'm having, preparing for practice, getting ready for it, like treating it like it's a game. And, it's helped me, continue to just elevate my game.
Where do you feel like you've been able to apply some of the lessons you learned from playing those games last year, facing receivers like D-Hop and Devontae Adams to now out on the field here in OTAs?
It's big. Just having that experience early on, get some household names. Just going out there with, at the end of the day, it's football, just having that confidence, bro. Especially play this position, bro. You can't go out there, like, half-stepping, like, nah, you got to be all the way in. So, for me, just having that confidence, just knowing I can go out there and compete against the best of the best, man, and just put on display. It's been big.
When did that moment kind of hit you last year? Like, I know you always had that confidence, but was there like a difference of like, you go out and you only allow one reception on DeAndre Hopkins in week 5. You go out and you have the pass breakup against Devontae Adams in week 17. Was there a moment that hit you of like, you're backing up that confidence with results on the field?
For me, honestly, it kind of started like game 1. It was just so much like excitement. Like I was like a little kid because like I didn't get to play the first 2 games, dealing with that hamstring injury. And then in week 3 against Baltimore, just going out there full intensity, having some turnovers, getting the ball back to the team, and then just going out there competing. And then just down to the wire, like a overtime win. That was like a game where it's like, okay, I've arrived. Like this is the league. And I from there just continue to build on. Things kind of went sideways with injuries, but just throughout the year, just having those experiences was big for me to build that confidence.
All right, what's one thing, like one big thing that like folks watching this who maybe haven't played cornerback in the NFL, which I'm assuming is all of our audience doesn't understand about playing cornerback in the NFL?
Oh, man. One thing is tough. You put me in a tough spot because
there's a lot of stuff.
But, just playing cornerback, one, I've already said, is having that confidence. You got to be confident when you're out there. Another thing is just communication. When you see these big plays where it may seem like the corner may have somebody just running down the field just wide ass open, like sometimes it may not be on the corner, it may not, just be on the intermediate guys. Some of it's just communication. Like communication is key. It's a lot of moving parts. We all got to be 11 on 11 to make it all work in the back end. So I think that's the big thing. Like it's a lot of things where it may seem like this may be my guy, but also just mainly just communication.
Yeah. Something I've tried to educate people on is like you can't always turn your head on a play, right? Like especially if you're playing like a trail technique, you can't always get your head around because that might put you in a bad position. So when people are yelling at the TV, being like, why didn't he get his head around on a play? Like that's not always what you're supposed to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a technique to it, especially, just being outside. When I get an outside release, I'm not taught to look over my head until I got him on the red line, and then once it's past 15 yards. Now, if I'm not in the lead position, which means my middle of my chest is on his upfield shoulder, if I'm not in that position and I'm trailing, I'm not looking back. I'm waiting until I get in phase. Now I'm playing the hands. Now, if I am on top, okay, now that's when you see guys looking back for the ball and things like that. So it's just little nuances between, like, the game within the game that, is pretty big for the cornerback position.
So, like, you're reading hands and you're reading, like, if he's slowing up, if he slows up, hey, okay, maybe I can turn for the ball because it's underthrown. You're reading hands, like eyes, all those things that go into it that I think a lot of people probably don't always see.
Right, it's real key. Like when I have a guy say he's running a deep ball route, or I say I'm trying to decipher between if he's running a deep ball or a short route. If I got a guy and I'm running with him and he's hand fighting me, then I know that he's trying to, get past and go deep. Now, if he's just allowing me to get my hands on him, then that means he's trying to throw me by so he can stop. Like, it's little things, key details like that that's real pivotal.
What's like one thing you learned from facing DeAndre Hopkins last year? Like, that was early on. You had a pretty good game against him. I know you had that one that went through your hands in the end zone. Which, I'm sorry to, but I was watching it. That was good coverage. Like, what's one thing you learned from that game facing a guy like him?
Guys like that, a lot of the game is just about angles. He's a savvy guy. Like, if you watch his game now, he's not the fastest, not the biggest, but the way he runs his route is real savvy, and like his angles are to a T. And I had like mentors back a couple years back who just tell me like the game is really like geometry about angles. So once you learn like angles, and you may not be the fastest, but it's all about the timing and things like that. That's where, you know, some guys set themselves apart from others. So.
You mentioned you keep a notebook of stuff that you learned all last season. Like, how thick is that? Like, how deep were your notes that you took last year?
I can't even put, like, how thick it is, but it's like, it's more than one notebook. I say that if you combine them, for sure. For sure. But, man, like, them notes like that, like, it's okay. Like, I just remember little things in my head may pop up. Oh, like, I've seen this before, this picture on the field. Let me go back to that. I may have written it down. So little things like that, it helps me.
Did you come up with that on your own? Was there someone who kind of, like, told you, hey, you know, you should probably keep a notebook? Like, how did you come up with that?
Just learning from everybody. You know, some of our vets in the room, they keep notebooks. I mean, it's all about preference, though. Some guys, once they get past a year, it's like, hey, I'm putting that behind, onto the new. But one guy I learned that from is Rob Wilson. You know, training with him when I was down in Tampa a couple years ago, he showed me his notebook from back when he played. I'm like, normally you see, like, he played a minute ago. I was do that because of his age, but, like, you would think they'd throw that away, but like, he still had it, brought it with me and showed me, like, that's the standard. So.
How did you get connected? You were training in Tampa. How did you get connected with him?
Just by my agency, you know, working down there in Tampa, HOA, and then some family ties, somebody who represented Rob Wilson, so I've been knowing Rob for a little bit now. And, yeah, he just, you know, he didn't have to, but came down there and trained with me, just taught me a little bit about the game, and continued to just help me along this way.
That's like one of the greats.
One of the greatest, for sure.
Like,
so.
What's some other stuff you picked up from him?
The way he practiced, for sure, that was one thing. After practice, like his conditioning he would do, which is back pedal across 50 back, crossover run, each 5 yards, touch each sideline, which is 53.5 across, so you can do the math on how many, like that's after practice. But he started doing that during camp. So just little things like that, because, you know, as DBs, we don't come off the field. Receivers, they run 2 plays, deep ball, all right, we out. Cornerback, you see, it may be a 10-play drive, we out there the whole time, so you got to have that conditioning for sure, so that's another thing.
Is that like something else that, you know, you just sort of picked up along the way about, like, what it takes to be a pro, like what it takes to be, like, an NFL-level corner? It's like that conditioning, that routine, that rhythm of everything that you do in your preparation? For
sure. A lot of it is just the preparation. Like just the mental fortitude you got to put yourself through once you are on the practice field. So when you get to the game, like it's second nature. So yeah, you know, it all goes hand in hand. The mental conditioning, the physical conditioning, and just the little nuances that you learn from everybody else apply to your game. Just continue to help you be a better player.
When you're talking about these reps, like game reps, how do you then translate that intensity into a game? How do you take the intensity you got out here to, you know, that first Sunday of the year against C.J. Stroud and the Texans at Lucas Oil Stadium?
Just having the same mentality. Like I said, when you come out here, have the mentality like, okay, this is a game. Because if you're treating it like a practice and you kind of half-ass some reps, it's going to translate like that towards the game. You go get in the game and you go half-ass like a rep coming out of your break, and it's going to be the same type of mentality. So if you're treating it like a game right now, like, it's a domino effect. So.
Does that also kind of help keep your focus of, like, you're not thinking about week one, you're thinking about today if you're treating it like a game?
Right, you got to have like an intentional focus. And like I like to call it is really it's like a pissed off, like it's like controlled aggression. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, you know, it's practice right now, so it's controlled, but at the same time I'm being aggressive at the point of attack. Like I'm treating it like it is like that game rep. So just having like a pissed off focus and just controlled aggression.
Do you sense that your offensive teammates kind of feed off of that sometimes? If you got that like pissed off aggression.
They probably hate me out here. Like I ain't gonna lie, like coaches have been getting on my ass a little bit. I'm diving for balls, like I'm being real aggressive. Like, I ain't trying to hurt my guys, but it's just like the way like I've always been with practicing. Like I'm just intense, and you know I just like to. I'm balls to the wall, man. You gotta, just full speed. So it is a time and a place. So yeah, you gotta, practice smart and whatnot. But man, when I'm out here, like I'm full go.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see you out there on the field, up at training camp, and then once we get to September 8th at Lucas Oil Stadium. Juju Brents, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks, JJ, and thank you, Juju, on it. I'm excited about that kid because I've been around here a while. I've been working for the Colts.
Around,
I know. I've been working for the Colts for a while. I've never seen a cornerback with that height, that length. I mean, like like his long legs, even like he's like
you have
know
to throw over.
Yeah, like this is a different cat when it comes to the Jason Davids, even Kenny Moore, like of the world that are this is a different cat, and that's why I asked JJ that like, can this guy be that guy? Can he be that? Say, hey, we're going against Juju today. Oh, I don't want to do nothing to do with that. The league's best receivers. Can he be that guy?
Yeah, I think he can. He's got that that kind of mentality in him.
I love it,
and I just think too about like. The way that he can play corner, like you mentioned, it is different.
Yeah.
It is different that, because of his length, he can play different techniques. He can play different receivers different ways than other corners can.
Yeah. And he's got plenty of, it's going to sound like I'm shortchanging him, but he's not a 4.3 guy, but it's not like he's slow. He's got, very adequate speed. But again, he's got recovery speed, but he has something you just can't teach, and that's the wingspan. That's that long arms, that long frame. And if you're throwing a fade down the field with him on the sideline, you have to
snatch it out.
You have to throw over him, and you have to kind of train yourself, because not every corner is like that. So when you're playing the Colts, you almost have to, if you're a quarterback, train your brain to deliver the ball or put the ball in a different spot over Juju Brents, which hopefully leads to some errant throws where he gets his hands on the ball or gives the safety time to come over and pick off the pass.
Reminds you of some of those Legion of Boom guys back in Gus Bradley's day when he started that up?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
got a long way to go to be Richard Sherman. That's for literally any young cornerback. But that is the archetype that you're looking for, is that kind of size.
I love it. All right, good job, Juju. We're going to be talking about him all through the rest of the season. Colts do have some stalwarts on this defense. Guys, the mini camp is here. It's 3 days. I bet the third day is going to be about a half day. They're going to say, all right, guys, go enjoy your summers. We're going to have 2 solid big days of practice coming up. Matt, I'll start with you.
All right.
You walk away from this on Thursday and say, that was perfect. That was a perfect 3-day mini camp. Can't wait for training camp. What does that look like to you?
Well, I think it goes without saying, got to stay healthy. You don't want to see any injuries. Again, you talk about.
Let's not see injuries on the grass in shorts, please.
Right. It's at the end of the day, it's May, or in this case, early June.
Yeah.
So everybody, have a full, clean bill of health going into training camp. That's first and foremost. But I think Anthony Richardson, with a high completion percentage, no picks. You don't want to come away from any of these practices saying, man, I just don't think he knows where to go with the football. I mean, you haven't seen that. I don't think you'll see that. So that would be in the mix to, be a perfect equation for a good mini camp. And I think thirdly, and we really haven't talked about this, at least not on this podcast, but I want to see one of the tight ends emerge and just take over. And I don't know if there's time for that to happen within this mini camp. You've seen Jelani Woods make a lot of plays and come back.
He might be that guy, Matt. He might be that guy.
Same thing with Drew Ogletree. He's looked really good. Mm-hmm. But my bet is one of these tight ends is going to emerge as a signature playmaker within this offense next year, with Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Who's going to be, for lack of a better term, the Dallas Goedert of this Colts offense at the tight end position? You got a lot of candidates. And I'm eager to see within this 3-day mini camp who some of those guys are, and if they have enough time to kind of say, or, kind of stake their claim going into training camp, like, I'm the best bet. I'm going to be that guy, that leading candidate to kind of take over once training camp starts.
I think for me, it's, can you see a crisp practice in there for Anthony Richardson? Like, I'm not thinking about every single day, because you're doing installs. It's not the most competitive thing, right? But have a practice or two in there where there's not a lot of balls on the ground, where it looks like it should look, basically. That's kind of what I hoping to get out of there, in addition then to the health aspect of it.
Excellent, man. I can't wait. This is going to be a fun one, and who knows what surprises are going to come. JJ Stankovitz, at JJ Stankovitz on Twitter X, at Maytay Colts. Love it, guys. Well, I'm going to bring it towards me. I did a little off-the-field stuff earlier. I do. But I did a little off-the-field stuff with you guys. I'm going to do it now as we wrap this thing up. And by the way, Colts.com, the Colts Audio Network, has got a lot of great stuff coming up for these next 3 days of this mini camp. If you want the latest of what's happening on the field, follow these guys or check them out at Colts.com or the Colts Audio Network. I have a black eye. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you can see this.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Look. If you can, maybe. This is a black eye. It's here, right?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, now I can see it.
Okay.
I figured you'd cover that up with a little...
No.
Concealer. Yeah.
I'm going to say this. True or false? A guy was looking at me. I was down at the Slippery Noodle. A guy was looking at me across the
False.
bar. I said, "What are you looking at?" It was one of those things.
your deal, bro.
Is that what
False.
happened? Huh? How did I get this
No
black
shot.
eye? Go ahead.
You fell cleaning your garage.
Close.
I would say, yeah.
He's so close. He's so close.
You were edging and a rock popped up from the gravel and then just drilled you.
I did this folding laundry. That's a black eye. And JJ, I'm going to give it to you. You are correct. Before we get out of here, I found a bag of clothes, and I was like snapping them like this to see what they were. One of them had a tag on it, and the tag went zoom, zoom. And it was one of those big Nike tags. It's almost like a big cardboard box, and the thing just hit me right here. But
Got you square.
I'm telling everybody I got a mean look from a guy, a rough and tough ruffian down at Slippery Noodle.
Yeah. Griff.
Folding laundry, that's a tough scene, man.
That is.
That's a tough scene.
Hey, don't mess with me. I fold laundry. All right, guys. This is going to be fun. Colts.com has the latest. Obviously, listen to the Colts Audio Network and follow along on Twitter X and Colts.com as much as you can at Maytay Colts, at JJ Stankovich. I'm Jeffrey Gorman. Fellas, appreciate the time. When you're this offseason, these guys are going to bring it to you. I'm just telling you, because we're coming up to the end of July for training camp. When you are not at Renaissance fairs and when you are not doing your garage and landscape work, you are bringing it on the Colts
We're
Network.
always dialed in.
Love
We're always
you
glued
guys.
in.
Thanks for watching. Thanks to Connor behind the camera today. My black guy and I say adios. Let's have a great mini camp. It's coming up. The latest coverage you'll find on Colts.com. For these guys, and I'm for me, I'm for him, and I'm for him, and for me, I'm saying goodbye.
Bye.